independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The battle is on. That is for sure. You knew it would be. SCOTUS. This fight is, it's big. Understanding how big this is. I mean, you've heard it, and it's not, we're not just throwing things out there. The reality is this pick is a pick that will, barring an unforeseen circumstance where you pick somebody and they die immediately, something happens to them, you're talking about a generational pick, somebody who could be there for a very, very, very long time.
We have to pick one that's going to be there for 40 years, 45 years.
I don't know about that, but you think about it. Who's been on the court? They've been on forever. These things, they don't go away. They're like vampires. Now, there's been some debate that maybe it shouldn't be a lifetime pick. Maybe you serve a term of 10 years. I'll listen to that debate. I got no problem with that. We could talk about that, right? We could talk about that all day long. I got zero problems with that. We could talk about evening the court out. Remember, there's nowhere in the Constitution that says you have to have this many justices. You could have 1, you could have 9, you could have 29. There's been talks about expanding it, retracting it. I'm open to all kinds of things because I'm a free-minded thinker. But the reality is right now what we have is 9, and I doubt that's going to change anytime soon. And Trump has that pick, and that pick is going to be around, barring unforeseen circumstances, for upwards of 30-plus years potentially, especially if you pick somebody who's, say, in their – what if you pick somebody who's 45, 48, 49? 30 years, not out of the realm of possibility. 35 years, not out of the realm of possibility. 40 years, if they're 45, because remember, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 85 years old. So you're talking a long, long time.
That long list of 25, the average age of some were just over 50 years old. So when the president says his choice will have an impact on America lasting for decades, he's absolutely right.
So you want to make that pick. Now, the Democrats are going to fight it vigorously. They're not going. This is not going to be one of these ones where somebody sails through. The Democrats would have probably ceded it to you if Trump was president and Anton Scalia was still alive and he would have passed away. They probably wouldn't have put up much of a fight. The problem now is he's not replacing somebody from the right side of the aisle, even though Kennedy more often than not sided with the right. He's replacing the potential swing vote. Now, I do believe Roberts is potentially the swing vote nowadays. He has sided with the Dems on a few things, including Obamacare. That's why the fight's there, because it is that swing person. If he chose somebody that was socially liberal but conservative in other ways, they probably wouldn't be putting up the same kind of fight. If they said, look, the list here has some people there that are very socially liberal that have sided on, the LGBT community for marriage equality or for women's choice, and they'd seen that in the past. But what they have put out there is somebody who is definitely a game changer, and they're willing to fight, to fight, to fight.
People all across America should realize that their rights and opportunities are threatened. Americans should make their voices heard loudly, clearly, and consistently. Americans should make it clear that they will not tolerate a nominee chosen from President Trump's preordained list, selected by powerful special interests who will reverse the progress we have made over the decades.
Yeah, that's the way they feel, and they're going to fight it. He sounds rational compared to some of the other ones out there.
What's the court going to look like for the next 30 years?
We're looking at a destruction of the Constitution of the United States, as far as I can tell, based on all of the folks that he's been appointing thus far for lifetime appointments. He has been appointing ideologues. He has been appointing people who have refused to agree that Brown v. Board of Education is settled law. He has been appointing people who haven't even been found to be well qualified or even qualified by Bar Association.
And just to let you know, on to let Kamala Harris, you don't have to have a law degree to sit on the court. Sit on the Supreme Court, you don't have to have a law degree. We've had some that not even finished college. We've had a few that never even went to college or finished high school. Now, that was long ago, but I'm just saying, you don't have to. We will this time, and there's some qualified judges out there. And remember, a lot of these judges that they're going to go up against, whoever they end up choosing, are ones that the Democrats felt it was okay to put out there, who also voted in favor of them at federal levels, potentially. But the difference is they realize that this is it. This is it. This is the highest court in the land. So, and that some of these courts, you look at the district courts, they're stacked. You've got the Ninth Circuit Court, you've got the 6th, it's 7th, and 4th. Some of them are right-leaning, some of them are left-leaning. It is what it is. But the reality of what they face today is the person now is going to be in the highest court in the land, and the highest court in the land is going to have that final say. And because of that, they're going to fight. Now, I don't believe for a second Roe v. Wade is going to be retried. And I've got people texting me. That's the first thing they're going to go after. I don't think so. Right? And even some Republicans have come out. Susan Collins said, if there's going to be a retrying of this, if there's going to be a relitigating this, and somebody wants to change it, I am not going to allow that. It has been law for 40 years. But just like the right did with President Obama, you know how many people text me and called me and Facebooked me at the time and of saying, oh my God, did you know Obama's a secret Muslim and soon we'll have Sharia law, or he's taking our guns away? So many. That's why, to me, when I hear this, I just laugh.
I think within a year, abortion will be illegal in half of the United States, and because of this. And that's not necessarily a Trump issue; that's a Republican politics issue. But that's what this means.
No, federal law, I don't think is going to change. Now, in saying that, the states are allowed to kind of do their own thing to a certain degree. They can make it harder. They can put certain restrictions on it, but they're not going to outlaw it. And I don't think anybody else is going to go out there and relitigate this and bring it up. Yeah, you will find some that will try it at the state level and they'll bring it up. But I don't think, and I honestly think Roberts may end up being the swing vote for that. I just don't think it's going to happen. I could be wrong. Been wrong in the past. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. But it's funny because this is it. This is how you raise money. This is it. You go out and you say stuff that is crazy.
The whole reason Neil Gorsuch is there and Merrick Garland isn't is because Republicans acted so radically when Vince Scalia died in the spring of 2016. So Democrats are going to have to figure out how hard they want to fight. I think a lot of the Democratic base right now is going to expect them to all but lay their bodies on the line to stop the Senate rather than allow any nominee to go forward.
But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, there's only so much they're going to be able to do. And it's funny listening to people on the left talk about how their politicians are, just weak.
Democrats who are usually so wimpy and weak and, no, it's okay. We'll take half of universal health care. We don't need the whole thing. That's how our side sounds all the time. Mm-hmm. We're constantly giving in. And then a few people want to stand up and say, no, I've had enough. That's it. And we don't have to be violent. We have to remain nonviolent. If the worst that's going to happen to anybody in the Trump administration is that they don't get to have a chicken dinner in Virginia, I mean, I don't know.
And yet on the other side, I always hear, Republicans are weak. Both of them sound weak. No, it's compromise. It's the world that we live in. You don't get everything you want, right? Because there are 350 million people that also want something else. So, no. And we have elected these people to go there, and to get something done, they're going to have to compromise. And they can cry all they want. They can scream all they want. The reality is this happening? It's not happening. It's happening. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen. You don't have the way, and they're scrambling because this is the helplessness they feel. Because they can go on television, they can plead, they can go on the CNNs and the MSNBCs. You don't understand, within a week, women are going to be fired for their jobs. They're all going to be totally arranged marriage. They're going to be inside the home. They're going to be barefoot and pregnant. They're going to be forced to go to church. They're going to be all of these things. And if they get pregnant, even they're never going to be able to get rid of it. The gays are going to be locked up. Blacks are going to, it's settled down. It's what you say when you're helpless, because you feel helpless. They're trying to figure out. They want to vote early. They can't. We got to stop them. We got to try to. What are we going to do? We can't stop them. We can't stop them because they feel helpless. Because they know they really can't do anything. They'll try, but in the end, Mitch McConnell holds the cards at this one. And they can raise a bunch of money, and they can get people out to the polls. Don't let Trump get another pick, because they also know, looking around the Stephen Breyer and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and what if he got another pick? Oh my God! Take a deep breath. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think a marriage equality is going anywhere. I don't think any of those things. I think those things have been tried. I think they're on the books. I don't think anybody is interested. States will try to do some stuff. They will try to put some more restrictions on, but they've been trying that for a long time. That's nothing new. But I think as far as banning it outright, Roe v. Wade and some of these other things, it's not going to happen. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
States? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
So Trump, we're talking about the Supreme Court, has put a date out there. He will have his nominee by July 9th. He will make that, which, again, it's going to scarify. That's probably the best way. It's going to scarify, but it's going to terrify the Democrats. They're hoping to do all they can, and the reality is there's not a lot they can do, right? Not a lot they're going to be able to do. They can say they're going to do certain things. They can freak out all they want. They could even, yes, do this.
Trump is not going to leave. He plans to be reelected. He loves the term president for life. The only way that we're going to stop this is eventually we're all going to have to put our bodies on the line. You're going to have to be willing to do this.
It's a big body. I don't know if it's going to happen, guys, because this isn't about let's just line up and we'll put our bodies on the line. There's other things that go into this. I'm just saying this all. And people are asking me, you're texting me, what do you think about Roe v. Wade? Here's the one thing. Judges don't like to go back and overrule what other judges have done. Supreme Court. They rarely do they touch it. Well, they touch certain aspects of it. It comes from different states, but the federal side of it, it's just not going to happen. I don't see it happening, and I don't think it should happen. I think it's settled. Let's move on. But you can raise money on it. So if you can raise money on it, then do it, right? If you can get your base riled up to get out there in November, then do it. But I just don't foresee this happening. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter each and every day at this time. We like to break it down for you like it's hot, because it really is. We call this our Urban Word of the Day.
It's time for the Urban Word of the Day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban Word of the Day.
Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? SOS. What does that mean? It means a lot of things. But for this particular situation, it means we got a sexy on site. Oh, yeah. Bill, that might be you, baby. You might be the sexy on site.
Maybe.
Yeah. Sexy on site. I like that. A little SOS is your Urban Word of the Day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the Urban Word of the Day. We damn stretched your cranium.
Okay, one moment, sir. He stepped away from his chair. I'm getting ready to ring his phone right now. Just one moment.
Then what can I tell them that you're going to do moving forward?
Bob,
let me just tell you, I want to be able to take care of the situation every bit as much as anybody else at the top level. I'd like to do the larger solution rather than the smaller solution. You know, they're doing them step by step. I think we could do the whole thing. You know, I have a good relationship with the party. You have a good relationship with the party. And I think we could do a real immigration bill. We have to have security at the border. We have to have it. I mean, look, you got 60% of the country, they've got to have security at the border. And that's a good issue for the Democrats too, Bob. It's not like it's good for you or good for me. It's good for both of us. People are tired of the problem.
Oh, you know what that was? That was Stuttering John, who actually called the president on an Air Force One. They got him. He pretended to be Bob Menendez, and the president took his call. One thing John Kelly has been adamant about, as other people in the White House has, is he's got to stop making and taking calls from people. Don't get pissy with me, people out there in text. Well, this is stupid. Hillary, I don't want to hear it. You know, the president, there is some protocol that needs to come from this, and you can't do this. I don't find Stuttering John to be all that funny. I didn't find it to be, super hilarious. Went on for a little while, but it's still at this point in time too. Come on, really, President, stop taking calls from people unless you can verify who they are, and you should be able to do that with the people that you have working for you. That you should be able to verify who these people are. That is ridiculous. I was talking obviously about immigration. Come on, Bob, you can do it, Bob. Bob, we can do this, Bob. Bob, I know we can do this, Bob. It's good for you. It's good for me. It's good for the whole country, Bob. Come on, Bob. Bob. It wasn't Bob. It was John, actually. Stuttering John. Oh, God. But he does have to stay away. He says he doesn't want to be tethered. Sorry. It's kind of the rules in the position you're in, Mr. President. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. Just so stupid. Not the first comedian to get through to somebody, but still, come on. Just, Mr. President, that's all I'm asking. Don't give people more ammo, please. Please. I blame this on the people around you. 323-538-2423. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
In Delta's Worldwide Command Center in Atlanta, they are preparing for what potentially could be the busiest travel day for flyers of the year. You often think that it's the winter holidays, but it may actually be today, with TSA saying 2.7 million passengers will be screened.
Lots of people flying, lots of people moving, lots of people out there on the go. And just remember, when you're going to go out there, all I ask you people is just take a deep breath. Everybody's trying to get somewhere, right? Trust me, I got a long drive tonight. Go see, be in the car for about 3 hours and up tomorrow morning early. Be in the car another 3 hours. Go see Jack. Got a big weekend planned. But that's it. And you know what? Gas prices are up, but we're not stopping.
But gas prices are not up significantly enough for people to not take that holiday trip.
Yeah. How many of you are on vacation next week? I bet a lot. I mean, I can tell you this. I see that normally on Fridays, right? So normally on Fridays, it's pretty thin about this time, right? So I'll look out there and I'm like, man, it's pretty thin. It is extra thin. A lot of people I know are off next week. Some people got the jump start today and bounced out of there. We did not, producer Phil, for those of you not keeping score. We are here. We are busting our butt just for you. But just take it slow, man. That's what I tell people. Take it slow. We all got somewhere to get. We're all going to be on the road. We all got things going on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. So You know, a lot has been made about this woman, this 28-year-old woman or 29-year-old woman who won the seat in New York. A lot is being made out about her. They're talking about her. She's on Colbert. And, you know, look, she's a fresh face for the Democrats. And Nancy Pelosi was right about one thing. It is only one district in an area that is pretty progressive. It was a wake-up, I think, for some of the establishment, not all. Dianne Feinstein had an establishment. She's an establishment candidate. She had somebody who was uber progressive come up against her, and she stomped him. But it's different here. And you got to remember, too, this younger generation doesn't understand what us older generation people have understood for a long time. We understand what socialism. We hear socialism, we cringe, right? We don't think of Denmark or Sweden because they're really not in the socialist countries. They're just high tax countries. You know, they have cradle to grave benefits. Well, for a lot of people here in America, they get cradle to grave benefits too. But we hear socialism and we understand it has a different meaning to us to them. And I think that's something they don't understand. There isn't the boogeyman that we went up against in the Cold War for them. China isn't China like, you know, we knew it back in the 60s, 70s, you know, in the 50s, you know, there isn't Mao, and this totally different. The Iron Curtain has collapsed. So they don't understand that, you know, where between 80 and 100 million people were killed by socialist governments in the last century. They don't get that. So while she's excited and she's ready to get everybody out there and do all these kind of things, the reality is this is what a lot of young people are gravitating to, and it's not a bad word.
What does socialist mean to you?
For me, democratic socialism is about the value for me is that I believe that in a modern, moral, and wealthy society, no person in America should be too poor to live. That's what I think.
You know, okay, I listen to that. It is what it is. I mean, you know, I don't think people should be too poor to live either, but I also think that we can't fix everybody, right? I mean, we can't. The reality of the world that we live in is people make very poor choices. They do. They make very poor choices, and what are we to do when people make poor choices? We can't fix everybody. And I think that's the issue right there. And I also think, like, here's the thing. They lead with their feelings in so many ways. And you can hear it, right? It's all about the feelings. It's all about the hugs and the kisses and the puppy dogs and the unicorns. It's all about those things. It's, oh, that would just be great. It would be a wonderful thing. Nobody should live in poverty. I don't know anybody who wants anybody to live in poverty. I don't. But you can't, and this is something that they don't understand, is they want to essentially make sure that the outcome of whatever this is going on is fair and equal. They want to legislate some sort of outcome for people. And you realize that human beings, we're not like that. You know, we want to stand or fall on our own 2 feet. And some people in life will make poor choices and they'll ask for help. And we'll give them help. But then after a while, what we've done in this country is we've made it so they become completely dependent on government. And then government's in this weird thing where they give you just enough to survive. And if you start to do a little bit better, they take that away, and then you collapse back into the system again. And if you try to climb yourself out, it's a tough, ongoing, it's on loop over and over again. And it's frustrating. And so these younger generations coming out, they're seeing that there's poverty and there's homeless people and there's it's all of this stuff. And they're thinking, if we could only make it better with hugs and kisses and puppy dogs, it would be great. And everybody should have the same opportunity. I agree. But just because you give everybody the same opportunity in life, and this is one thing that I don't think a younger generation understands. First of all, we all know life's not fair. We're older, we get that. Secondly, we also know that if we give everybody the same opportunity in life, it's still going to end up the same way, right? There's going to be a top 10 or 20%. There's going to be the Midland, let's say the next, 60% of them, 50% of them. And then there's going to be a bottom, 20 or 30%. Because not everybody's going to grab on to that choice and that opportunity and run with it. And they want to legislate outcome. And if you say socialism today, it's not a bad thing. When we said socialism back in the day, we'd freak out because we understood what it meant. Because we knew what the dark times were. Right now, the only place you could point out where you go, that's socialism, in a way that you would think that they would want to do it, is you look over to Venezuela, and Venezuela's a mess. And they've always got some excuse of why that's not socialism. And the hubris they have of, I'm better than that. We could do it better than that. They don't do it right. We do it right.
So what that means to me is healthcare as a human right. That every child, no matter where you are born, should have access to a college or trade school education if they so choose it. You know, I think that no person should be homeless if we can have public structures and public policy to allow for people to have homes and food and lead a dignified life in the United States.
That sounds swell. But who's paying for it? Well, the rich. It's always the rich. Everybody's going to chip in except for the people that are going to get the stuff. They don't have to chip in because their life has been horrible, right? The rich have made them poor. The successful have hurt them. Some people don't want what you're offering. Even people that are poor don't want what you're offering. Some do. But the reality is this is the craziness of some of their thinking. I get it. It sounds great. Everybody should have an opportunity to have everything they want. And everybody should have free education. And they should have free health care. And they should have free this and free that. But when I start adding up the free over here and the free over here, because you see those numbers don't start with zero. They start with another number with lots of zeros behind it. And I keep asking myself, this isn't 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. This is billions and trillions and trillions and trillions plus each other. That adds up to a lot. It does. In life, people need to understand you are where you are because of the choices that you've made. You are where you are because of the choices you've made. I've made some poor choices in my life. You've made some poor choices in your life. You've made everybody's made some, and everybody's made good choices in their life. They don't understand that. And this younger generation is coming up, and they've had a lot handed to them. And there is a sense of entitlement. You know, I was talking to my mom about this one day. She goes, you know, she's a baby boomer. She goes, though, Chad, she goes, the reality is we weren't too dissimilar from one another in our generations. And, too dissimilar from grandma and grandpa, the greatest generation and the baby boomers. We weren't all too dissimilar from one another. And one thing none of us had was this entitlement, where they have an entitlement. And I think some of that is the parenting, which you can blame mostly on, the last of the baby boomers and a good portion of the Gen Xers. But we've lost a personal sense of responsibility in this country. And while it does sound nice, again, to give everybody everything their little heart desires, the fact is the government is not a genie, right? This isn't a magic bottle, and the genie comes out, and, we want everything. The problem is the genie says, fine, I'll give you everything, but I'm going to take all of what you have to give you everything. And you're like, well, I don't want that. I want it to magically appear. Well, it doesn't work that way because magic's not real. It's not. It sounds nice. But I think until we start to build up a sense of responsibility, personal responsibility in our lives, and I'm not saying that bad things don't happen to people, and that sometimes even making a good choice, some things may turn out bad. I think we all know that that's true. There's a lot of things out there that, we look and we go, that is kind of unfair. All right, perfect example is, right, here's a stupid example, but I'll throw it out there. This is a horrible way. The World Cup is going on right now. Two teams tied with the exact same number of points. Same goals given up, same goals scored, the whole 9 yards. They had to go down to one of the last tiebreakers, and it was how many yellow cards did you get, and that's how you were eliminated. It was stupid. It's a horrible way. It's an unfortunate thing. But you know what? They had the opportunity along the way to not be in that position. And I think we forget that. Many times when you see somebody who's in a bad position, well, they've made some poor choices and maybe a few things have gone against them. Along the way, they've had opportunities to do other things and they chose not to. All too often, all I hear is I can't from a lot of people out there. Well, if that's the attitude you have, then you're right. You can't. But remember, these kids don't understand. They think socialism is Sweden. We understand socialism as the Soviet Union, as what China used to be. They look at China and say, why can't we be more like that? You went, really? You want an overbearing government? Probably. Cracks down on anything that goes against the government? Probably. But they kind of have a smidge of capitalism. No. Socialism to us means something wholly different. And I think when we remind ourselves that when we talk to millennials, they never had the great red threat that was the Soviet Union and watching the failed states fall apart as they did over there, as the Eastern Bloc just collapsed. They don't get that. They think it's all like Sweden, where everybody's kind of the exact same over and over again. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Movies, there are some coming out. Box office is roaring right now. 2 new movies came out this weekend. We'll touch on that and see if they can dethrone the top 2. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Thanks to a great 6 months, including blockbusters like Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool 2, and surprise hits like A Quiet Place. The North American box office just passed $6 billion, the earliest that's ever happened in a year. As we hit the year's halfway point, box office right now is up 8% over last year, mostly thanks to superheroes. Black Panther, Avengers, Incredibles 2, and Deadpool 2 are the top 4 movies of the year.
Yeah, box office is roaring, and it roared again last week as Fallen Kingdom hit the theaters. That was a week after The Incredibles 2 hit the theaters. Both of them are expected to finish 1-2 this weekend. Again, at potential $100 million second weekend for Jurassic World. That's what they're saying. I don't know about that. I'd see more than 60-70 million. Incredibles 2 should probably finish number 2. And then you got 2 new movies out, both of which I'm going to see. One with Jack, one without. Jack loves basketball, and he thinks that Shaquille O'Neal is hilarious. So this weekend we will be going to see it. Yes, Uncle Drew.
We all remember that one moment that made us believe.
This is the perfect opportunity for Jags to meet Uncle Drew, the greatest black top player I've ever seen in my life.
Something like you could combine the old school with the new school.
It's got to be my team, my roster.
Yes!
How's that geriatric team of yours? You get them all individual life alert bracelets?
So we gon' ball.
We gon' ball.
This is where it happens.
So essentially what happens is this guy has a team that's going to go play on the in places like Chicago and New York and even in Los Angeles, a few other places. The blacktop is where you make your name for yourself. All the greats did. Rucker Park comes to mind in New York. Uncle Drew is an old superstar from the blacktop days back in the day when that's where, it was as big as the NBA in many ways. Professional basketball wasn't what it is. And so a lot of these guys that make huge money playing basketball become legends. So these old guys are going to suit back up, and they're all done up. You got Kyrie Irving playing Uncle Drew, and you got Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller, Lisa Leslie, just to name a few, who get all done up to play in this. It looks funny. It looks stupid. It looks like everything that I want to see in a movie, especially if I'm going to go with Jack. He's all, Dad, it's PG-13. Don't tell Mom. I'm like, okay, it'll be okay. It's okay. I checked. It's really not that bad. The other movie that I will not be taking him to see is one I want to see. The summer of Josh Brolin continues as Sicario 2 comes out with Benicio del Toro, and he plays the Sicario, essentially a hitman who now works with the CIA, and they bring him back. Ooh.
There's proof the cartel helped the terrorists get to the border.
The president's adding drug cartels to the list of terrorist organizations.
You can understand how that will expand our ability to combat them.
If we want to see this thing through, I'm going to have to get dirty.
Dirty is exactly why you're here.
You're going to help us start a war. With who? Everyone. No rules this time. Adios.
Essentially, they bring him in and to start a war, and in the midst of it, he befriends a little girl who he slaughtered her father, but she knew her father was bad, and it just becomes a situation where he doesn't really want to take care of the cargo, if you will, Benicio del Toro. So all hell breaks loose and lots of action. Very interesting. That comes out this weekend, too. They just keep rolling them out weekend after weekend, and more are coming out over the next couple weeks. In the box office, for all of its flops, like Solo, it's still rolling strong. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. I want to hear from you. Trump taking on Roe v. Wade. Very interesting to see where this goes. He's already said he's going to make his pick by July 9th. He is moving fast. That's upsetting a lot of people. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
To the families of the victims, there are no words to express our sorrow for your loss. Horrible, horrible event, horrible thing happened. And you're suffering. We pledge our eternal support.
That's Trump right there. Normally you don't hear him talk about the media. You know, it's funny. I've watched all the shows today, CNN, Fox. No, World Cup's on, so I got nothing else going on. I mean, I got a TV in here so I can watch the World Cup. I don't care about the rest of the baloney that's going on. And to hear them, they come out, and some of them went as so far as to blame Trump for this, but in a very roundabout, kind of subtle, backhanded, passive aggressive way. And even Wolf Blitzer's like, he had nothing to do with this. And the other people are like, yeah, he kind of did, though. And maybe they were like, maybe he was part of the cause of this because this guy finally snapped because he's like, yeah, it's the media's fault. And Wolf Blitzer's like, this guy sued them. And Wolf Blitzer standing up for the president. It was weird. This did sound different from Trump because it's real. Look, I told you guys this, and you guys get it, right? I get most of you. There's a few of you out there who still don't get it. We're trying to get you onto the island. Right? Our island is now becoming a country, a nation of alt-middlers who get it. Common sense, real stuff. Trump doesn't hate the media. The media doesn't hate Trump. It's a game. It's a game. If he hated the media, he wouldn't talk to the media. Neither would any of his people. People are like, well, he's not transparent. He didn't give tax returns. You get everything else with the dude. Well, you don't get Russia stuff. You want him to what? There's an investigation. How much more do you want into that? Their people are on the news 24/7. They're not afraid to go anywhere and talk to just about anybody. There's always one of them somewhere. We've talked to a few of them, and it's funny because, we had a chance to go to Fox, but Trump said, no, go to CNN. Why don't you do it for the CNN? You're like, what? Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to be a regular over there. Trump loves them as much as he, quote unquote, hates them, and vice versa. They don't want him gone. And when we talk about journalists, this thing that's on all the time with the Wolf Blitzers and the Cuomos and the Rachel Maddows and the Chris Hayes and the Hannitys and the Tucker, That's not journalism anymore. Those are people who are looking to stir the pot. That is theatrics. That is arguments and excitement. That's what that is. I think Trump was real. Nobody wants to see a bunch of people shot. And this guy that shot him yesterday was a clown. He was a person who was an absolute loser. And I bet you when all is said and done and we find out all we can about this guy, he was a giant loser. I mean, of epic proportions. I mean, that was what the article was about, essentially. He said he was harassing people on Facebook because he was a loser. Nobody wanted to hang out with him. Why? Because he was a loser. And I'm sure it's everybody else's fault that he's a loser. And he sits and it stews and it eats him up inside. Ooh, it's eating me up inside. And he sits around and he blames everybody else for all the problems he's ever had. He's not a New York Yankee and playing center field because the high school coach didn't like the way that he wore his hair, right? That's the kind of stuff he gets. He didn't date her because somebody spread a rumor about him, and that's why they didn't go out and get married and fall in love. He didn't get the work promotion because they've got it out for him. They always had. He's the guy that blames all of his problems on everybody else. And the reality is there's one truth in his life that he needs to look at when it comes to his problems, and it's in the mirror. And yesterday, he went out and he killed people. And by the way, he knew that the person who wrote the piece about him, which angered the hell out of him, had retired, but he still did this. It just goes and it starts to build up and build up and build up, and over time, and then that one day, whoosh, snaps. And that was yesterday. He'll never see the light of day again. Good. But neither will 5 other people. Some are still fighting for their lives. Others will be fine. But all of their lives have been altered by this. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. But you sit here and you think, man, you take a step back and you're just like, where has a personal responsibility gone? And where has it gone in this world? Personal responsibility. If we break it down, the reason that this guy, the reason that Parkland, the reason for Texas, right? Fort Worth, the reason for that, and the reason for a lot of these other shootings is because the people that do it, the perpetrators, for all intents and purposes, they're losers. They're losers. They're losers in life. At least that's the way they see themselves. And they think everybody's talking about them, and they think the reason they can't get anywhere in life is because everybody's fighting to keep them down. They would be the president of the company if not for that jerk. There's always some excuse of why they can't do something. And eventually, they go inside of themselves and they start eating themselves up and they start blaming him. It's my mom did this, and my dad did this, and I didn't get hugged enough as a child, and I didn't get this, and I didn't get that, and blah, 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 blah. And it goes on and on and on and on. Some of these people, you just sit there and you shake your head and you're like, really? This guy set it up to kill as many as possible. He barricaded the back door so he could funnel people into an area. Are you kidding me? It's just sad. And when we find out the things that we're going to find out about this guy, and we'll find out, more, because stuff that comes out, he destroyed his fingertips. He didn't destroy his fingertips. They used facial recognition. They caught, we'll find out all of this stuff over the next 2-3 weeks, who knows, whatever it is. And by then it'll be long gone and forgotten. But what you'll find these people had in common is they're just losers. This is their way to get even with the world for being born. This is their way. Some people take to Twitter 24/7 and they berate everybody and they attack everybody. That's the tool that allows people to be even bigger tools. But these small individuals decided to transfer their pain onto the world, at least the world that they could get to. And so they're very small, but they transferred great amounts of pain to people. It's sad. It's sad. But you watch. What's going to come out of this? We're going to find out. He was a giant loser. This wasn't a guy that was living in a 5-bedroom, 10-bath home with plenty of women around and he's driving a Lambo and everything looked good. No, this wasn't that. You're going to find out that this guy was a loser. And the blame game will come out. Blame game. Blame game. Always a victim, never a victor. That's what this guy is. Always. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. You can text us. Do whatever you want. I've given out the phone number, but God, I got to be honest with you, Phil, I forgot it. There you go. When's the last time we took a call? It's been like a year, right? Do you remember that? Oh man, well, I like the texting. I'm with the youth. I'm with the youth on that. I like the texting. I like the tweeting. Although I don't do much tweeting. I ask questions because I still think it's too dangerous. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's a great saying in football. You know, there's three things can happen when you throw a football: incomplete, interception, or a catch. 2 of them aren't very good. So it's the way I feel about Twitter. It's not if, but when. So I keep mine as benign as possible. I ask questions. I'll say something funny about, whatever. My life. I'll say something funny about Live PD, which is on tonight. Boom. But outside of that, it's just because it only takes one idiot, right? And there's a plenty out there. Oh, the stupid is strong. 323-538-2423 is the text line. Common sense says you should be looking around to diversifying your portfolio. Guess what? I've got it for you. Cryptocurrency. Oh, chat. No. Slow your roll. Well, they've taken a beating. Of course they have. And by the way, the best time to get into something isn't at its peak. I just want you guys to know that. Cryptocurrency is great. And you hear about Bitcoin. You have no idea. Ethereum, Ripple, all these other ones. There's plenty of them out there. And now is the time to diversify. Now is the time to take a look at what's available to you. AmazingCryptoClass.com is going to teach you everything you need to know about cryptocurrency from top to bottom. Tiki Tiwari from the Palm Beach Letter put it together. Check it out for yourself. Diversify yourself in a way that you probably didn't think you knew how. But you're going to learn everything. What are cryptos? How do they work? How can I buy them? All of the things you've had questions for, he's going to answer them. Check it out for yourself. AmazingCryptoClass.com. That is AmazingCryptoClass.com. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Time to trade your social media addiction in for a healthier vice. No 12-step program needed for this habit.
I like it.
The Chad Benson Show.
Here's a perfect example of somebody unhinged. And for what? Man has been arrested. Marcara Man, 33 of Norwalk, California. He was so mad at Ajit Pai, the FCC chairman, because of his change in the ending of Obama-era net neutrality rules, that he threatened to kill his kids on a few occasions. Even set up, and get ready for this email, right? So his name is Marcara Man. He set up stubbly manliness at gmail.com was his Gmail. He said it was because he thought he had to sound tougher. That's what he told. That's what he said in an affidavit. You're that mad? So you're that angry at that moment in time because of net neutrality, which, by the way, the last time I checked, Phil, I know they've gotten rid of it. I think it's switched over. I can't tell. Did you know when it switched to net neutrality, when it came back out of? I can't remember.
I didn't notice a difference.
No. But the anger. I'm so angry right now. What happened? I'm so angry. I'm going to get a beer. What happened to that? Oh, I'm frustrated, man. I'm going to have a ham sandwich. That's a better response. But the thought that you're so angry, I'm going to freak out because of net neutrality. I'm going to kill somebody. Threaten somebody's kids. Now, man told the FBI he was angry about the repeal, saying they pretty much ignored 80% of comments. They ignored us. They just didn't care. Man gave law enforcement an apology letter to Pi that said, I'm sorry I made those threats against you and your kids. That was crossing the line. I hope you'll change your mind, but I doubt it. I sit there sometimes and I think to myself, that is, look, if somebody does something to your kids, right? If you're, if your daughter is somebody that was caught up in the Dr. Nasser thing, oh my God, and you wanted to just strangle that guy, there's nobody on earth that's going to go, that's probably not right. Right? There's even people on the super liberal side who be like, yeah, choke him out. But because, you're going to be sitting in court now. So this guy's going to sit in court, and they're going to look at him, and he's going to have to tell them he was so angry about the internet going from net neutrality to non-net neutrality, or however the hell, which way it's going this week. He was so angry and frustrated. He was so pissed off. He was so all of these things that his only recourse to get the attention of Ajit Pai, apparently, was to threaten to kill his children. That is, how did we get here? How did we get here? Because he's not the only one. You're hearing, we've lost this civility. I've talked about it a few times this week. The civility to deal with each other. And I think part of it is the fact that you look around and these tools at our fingertips are so easy. And I'm not talking about guns. I'm talking about these keyboards and these swipes and all of it. It is so easy to get riled up and to get angry, and that we've lost our way, that we start stewing on stuff, and we get to the point where we go in and somebody shoots up a newspaper, right, in Maryland, in Annapolis, because he's pissed about a 2011 or 12 op-ed piece, which, by the way, probably 100 people saw because nobody reads the paper anymore. And secondly, now 1 million people have seen because they've all tried to find out what that thing is so they can find out why you're insane. So now you've made it even worse. Now we all know you're a double, triple loser. I don't know. It's amazing how we treat each other. But I read this today and I thought to myself, what in God's name would possess a person to be so angry over the internet? But we read it every day. Somebody shoots somebody over a donut or a burrito, or somebody took the last Eggo. They didn't let go of the Eggo and they got beat down. And you think, wow, that is just ridiculous. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Trump says he's going to make his pick by the 9th of July. That is not too far away. They're shaking in their boots. Oh, Democrats, relax. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
We have to pick one that's going to be there for 40 years, 45 years.
Like 12? How old's the justice going to be? Even Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 85. I don't know if we're going to have somebody that's going to stay on the bench that long. But Trump has said today that July 9th is the time he's going to announce who his nominee to replace Kennedy is. Phil, did you see today? And I saw a bit of it that the New York Times has a piece out that Trump forced Kennedy out.
I did read that. I thought I sent it to you.
Oh, I was sitting there thinking, oh, my God, really? Like, if he's 50, I'd be like, okay, that's an issue. He's almost 80. It was a shock. I wasn't a shock. I knew about it. I said the day before, he's going to wait till the end of this, which was yesterday or the day before yesterday. Once they know they were done, he was going to announce that he was going to step away. It may not be that day. I thought it was going to be in the next week or two. In fact, I think I said it was going to be next Friday because it was a holiday weekend and people weren't going to be around because that's when they like to dump stuff. If I know about it, come on. Look, I'm going to put one and one together here and come up with 85. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 85 years old. I predict in the next 5 years, she's going to step down and or not be here anymore. Chad, that's going out on a limb. Is it really? She has hinted. Stephen Breyer has hinted. They've all kind of hinted that they've done their time. It's not a shock. This was a real shock. Couldn't he have just stayed on? He didn't want to stay on. He didn't. He was ready to go. Now, the left, what are they going to do? Well, first and foremost, they're going to say insane things.
What's the court going to look like for the next 30 years?
We're looking at a destruction of the Constitution of the United States, as far as I can tell, based on all of the folks that he's been appointing thus far for lifetime appointments. He's been appointing ideologues. He has been appointing people who have refused to agree that Brown v. Board of Education is settled law. He has been appointing people who haven't even been found to be well qualified or even qualified by Bar Association.
So it's the constitutional crisis. Everything seems to be. They're going to stomp all over him. That's what the Republicans are going to do. So Trump is going to interview the short list. Apparently is 5. There are 2 women on there, and he has said that he is not going to ask them about overturning Roe v. Wade. He's not going to ask him about that. Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins both said, "Hey, you know what? It's over. It's settled. It's a settled case. We're moving on." Several other Republicans have echoed that sentiment. It's time to move on to something else. But the pro-lifers out there, they're going to fight tooth and nail. They want this. They want to find somebody who's going to be a super hard constitutionalist, and who's going to follow it as it was written, not as it's interpreted by the left. And they're going to want that. So the left is going to do all they can. But I'm here to tell you there's not a lot that they're going to be able to do.
I think within a year, abortion will be illegal in half of the United States, and because of this. And that's not necessarily a Trump issue; that's a Republican politics issue. But that's what this means.
That's Rachel Maddow there. So, within a year, it'll be illegal in half of the U.S. No, because federally, it's not going to be illegal. They're going to allow states. States may say, they may put restrictions on it. Like you've got 3 months, right? Like the day before, sorry. Doesn't count. Chad, they would never. Oh, there's some out there would like that. They're going to put, there may be, state, by the way, for those of you not keeping score, states have been trying to do that for a long time. Just like people out there who are on the right, who are about the Second Amendment, states have been restricting gun rights all over the place. Try to get a concealed carry in California. You better know a judge. And you better be pals with them or have bad pictures of them. That's the way you're going to get it signed off. Oh, yeah. It is what it is. But what they do is they freak out. They freak out everybody. This is why we have somebody threatening to kill, Ajit Pai of the FCC. because people throw this stuff out there and they throw, they grab the Molotov cocktail of anger that they can throw and they throw it somewhere and they don't care what happens and who it hits and they just, because they want to have something to say about this and they want to rile people up. It's, to me, I just sit back and just say, you know what? The same thing happened on the right. I got text messages, I got calls, I got IMs, I got all kinds of stuff from people, emails. Oh my God, man, he's a secret Muslim, Obama, and we're going to be under Sharia law, and they're going to take away all of our stuff, and blah, 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 and there goes our God, and blah, blah. And I just sat back and I thought, that's not going to happen. It's not. And guess what? It didn't happen. No, it didn't. It didn't. And this isn't going to happen. I would be surprised. Now, I'm not saying a state's not going to challenge some form of the law, because I think it will. And they're going to scream states' rights. And I think at some point in time, somebody's going to challenge certain amounts that gets challenged all the time. I'm just saying, if you think it's going to be federally overturned and thrown out, no, you're wrong. One thing is they don't like to overrule what's already been ruled on by their predecessors. That doesn't set a good precedent, because if it starts there, they understand the snowball is coming and that everything can be challenged over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And they don't want that. They don't. So he says he's not going to ask. I don't know if that's to be true, but the Democrats know that they've got a fight on their hands and they're scrambling. And what you hear in a lot of their voices is fear and helplessness, because they know there's not a lot they're going to be able to do to stop Mitch McConnell and Trump rolling somebody out there. They know there is very little they're going to be able to do to get that done.
The whole reason Neil Gorsuch is there and Merrick Garland isn't is because Republicans acted so radically when Vince Scalia died in the spring of 2016. So Democrats are going to have to figure out how hard they want to fight. I think a lot of the Democratic base right now is going to expect them to all but lay their bodies on the line to stop the Senate rather than allow any nominee to go forward.
I don't know how that happens. I mean, what do you do? What can you do? They've got all kinds of rules, and you do have a wizard, right? Mitch McConnell is supposedly the wizard. They still have the majority. They have the opportunity to do it. So what are you going to be able to do? You can lay your body on the line, which, by the way, seems to be the theme. That's actually the Democrats' new theme. Democrats, lay your body on the line.
Trump is not going to leave. He plans to be reelected. He loves the term president for life. The only way that we're going to stop this is eventually we're all going to have to put our bodies on the line. You're going to have to be willing to do this.
Lay your body on the line. Lay your body on the line. Democrats, vote Democrat. We'll lay our body on the line. There's not a lot that you're going to be able to do. And that is the desperation and the anger, because they realize there's not a lot. They can fight it, they can get out, and they can throw all kinds of, crazy one-liners at you. They can talk all kinds of smack, and we're coming, and this. But the reality is, when it comes to that part of it, there's not a lot. And I said something the other day. Remember, Trump's pick, if something comes out of the Russia investigation, the lawsuits will be filed, and eventually they're going to end up where? You end up at the Supreme Court. I said that the other day.
To think about a potential constitutional crisis. I have a bipartisan bill with Lindsey Graham that passed out of the Judiciary Committee trying to protect the special counsel in this investigation. And here we have relevant facts that might come before the Supreme Court, like I mentioned before, that should this president be able to put people in place that could then come back and protect him, a president who's asked for loyalty tests, asked for a litmus test such as that. And I just, again, think that that is imprudent and we shouldn't do it.
Everything's a constitutional crisis. You would think the world is falling down. You would.
Yeah, I mean, here we have a president said if he knew that Jeff Sessions would properly act to recuse himself, he wouldn't have appointed Jeff Sessions. Here's a guy that had conversations with Comey that clearly indicate that he was looking for a loyalty test. So here's a president that seems to be doing a lot to try to protect himself. There is a growing concern that he's going to not only be issuing pardons to others, but might look to pardon himself.
It's crazy. It is constitutional crisis. This is what we got. Everything's a constitutional crisis. Everything. So you've got some that don't want the vote or any kind of nominee to be announced until after the election on the Democratic side. And then Cory Booker.
In this environment, while Comey's investigation is well underway, taking a pause right now and waiting until the outcome of this criminal investigation, of which President Trump is a subject of, it seems like the responsible thing to do to me.
Now, he doesn't want them to do anything until after the Mueller investigation. Just sit here. Constitutional crisis. You're going to stomp on the Constitution. You're going to lay our bodies on the line. I don't think anything's going to happen. You know what? I don't think they're going to. But look, crazier things have happened. Not saying never. I just don't think so. Well, Chad, what if? Well, let's cross that bridge when we get there. Let's cross the bridge when we get there. But right now, we're trying to put out a fire that hasn't even started yet. And we know that the person, because we think the person's a crazy barbecuer. They ain't even started the barbecue yet. But we're trying to put out the fire before the barbecue's even started. And everybody take a deep breath, for God's sakes. Just breathe. Have a smile. There's nothing wrong with that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. I've been sleeping better than I have slept in forever and a day. Thank you, MyPillow. You are amazing. Go to MyPillow.com. Use my promo code Benson. You'll not be disappointed. Right now, they've got a great offer. 2 premium pillows, 1 low price, free shipping. One for you, one for your partner. They're going to love it. It is incredible. Man, I'm traveling this weekend. I got my little MyPillow with me. I'm not worried. And I've been sleeping so good. So good. I haven't slept this good in forever. I feel amazing. My life literally has changed. Thank you, MyPillow. Now it's your chance to grab yourself a MyPillow and your partner a pillow. Remember, 2 premium pillows fit to you and your sleep partner. 1 great low price. 100% machine washable and dryable. Made in the USA and backed by a 10-year warranty. Free shipping. Offer is limited. Get yours now. Call 800-983-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. That is 800-983-4975, promo code Benson. Or you can go to MyPillow.com and use my promo code Benson, B-E-N-S-O-N. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, C-H-A-D-B-E-N-S-O-N. He's getting sued for a lot of money. Touch on that, plus Shark. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Got that sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
A paranormal researcher claims he has discovered a time warp in the desert just north of Vegas. Using what's known as a deferential time rate meter, also known as a DT meter, Joshua Warren claims that for the first time ever, he was able to record a measurement showing time had been slowing down for 20 microseconds, something that laws of physics say should not occur.
What? And of course, it's right near Vegas. It was detected between Interstate 15 and Route 93, and that it slowed down to 20 microseconds. His thing he was using, the DT meter, I got one of those. Really? Nah, I'm lying. Was invented by Silicon Valley engineer Ron Heath and records its measurements via a 100-foot cable that's attached to a sensor. Is it happening? Is there a time warp?
is what's causing this. Is this something natural that gives us a window, a gateway into another world or another level of reality? Or is this the byproduct of some kind of weird technology, be it something secret and man-made or something that's extraterrestrial?
Yeah, and the reason for that is simple. Because what are we, kids? We're right near Area 51 and Area 52 and Area 54. 53 didn't go as well as we thought it was going to go, so we don't talk about 53. Would that be a trip, though? Wouldn't that be a trip if there was some sort of weird thing happening in Las Vegas? Oh, speaking of weird, say what? So you go out to Rite Aids across the country, and there's sometimes people that are, how should we say this, urban campers, vagrants. That feels like in this politically correct world, producer Phil, something you can't say anymore, a vagrant.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
It does, right? We got to change that. Urban camper is what some people are calling. Maybe wandering nomad. We'll call them all Kanes, like Kwai Chang Kang from Kung Fu just kind of wandered everywhere. Right? I'm watching Kung Fu again. In fact, I've downloaded a bunch of episodes as we speak because I'm traveling tonight. Well, if you go to some of these places, you'll notice songs like this.
I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things.
Oh, you see, apparently vagrants or urban campers or whatever you want to call them don't really enjoy Barry Manilow. So they're pumping it loud, and that's making them go away. That makes me laugh. Producer Phil, remind everybody about nature again. Nature will what?
Nature will mess you up.
Will mess you up. Case in point, a man out there canoeing. Other people apparently watching him canoe when something happens.
He got knocked out by a shark. There's a shark swimming on his kayak right now. No, look at it. See that kayak? Yeah. The fucker just got knocked out of his kayak by a shark. See his kayak? The shark's pushing it around. Watch the break the water again. See it? Yes, look at the kayak. See the shark? See the fin? See the fin? It's swimming towards the guy now. Call somebody, Karen.
Who is Karen supposed to call? That was my big thing. Karen, call somebody. Who am I calling? Shark police. Call shark police. We have shark police. Call the Coast Guard. Call who? Who are you going to call? Who? That's what I would say. And who am I supposed to call, Brad? Who? The police, so they can what? By the time they get here, he's going to be dead if the guy wants to get, if the shark really wants. And apparently what happened is the shark was curious with the canoer, bumped the canoer on several occasions, wanted to see what the deal is with said canoer, and didn't do anything other than that. Canoer's still okay. Everybody's aight. But just love the whole, quick, call somebody. I wouldn't. I guess you call the lifeguard station. Hey, there's going to be a body soon. You want to get it, or should we just? What do we do with it? I'll hold it. We'll come get it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Happy Friday on the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The battle is on. That is for sure. You knew it would be. SCOTUS. This fight is it's big. Understanding how big this is. I mean, you've heard it, and it's not, we're not just throwing things out there. The reality is this pick is a pick that will, barring an unforeseen circumstance where you pick somebody and they die immediately, something happens to them, You're talking about a generational pick, somebody who could be there for a very, very, very long time.
We have to pick one that's going to be there for 40 years, 45 years.
I don't know about that, but you think about it. Who's been on the court? They've been on forever. These things, they don't go away. They're like vampires. Now, there's been some debate that maybe it shouldn't be a lifetime pick. Maybe you serve a term of 10 years. I'll listen to that debate. I got no problem with that. We could talk about that, right? We could talk about that all day long. I got zero problems with that. We could talk about evening the court out. Remember, there's nowhere in the Constitution that says you have to have this many justices. You could have 1, you could have 9, you could have 29. There's been talks about expanding it, retracting it. I'm open to all kinds of things because I'm a free-minded thinker. But the reality is right now what we have is 9, and I doubt that's going to change anytime soon. And Trump has that pick, and that pick is going to be around, barring unforeseen circumstances, for upwards of 30-plus years potentially, especially if you pick somebody who's, say, in their – what if you pick somebody who's 45, 48, 49? 30 years, not out of the realm of possibility. 35 years, not out of the realm of possibility. 40 years, if they're 45, because remember, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 85 years old. So you're talking a long, long time.
That long list of 25, the average age of somewhere just over 50 years old. So when the president says his choice will have an impact on America lasting for decades, he's absolutely right.
So you want to make that pick. Now, the Democrats are going to fight it vigorously. They're not going. This is not going to be one of these ones where somebody sails through. The Democrats would have probably ceded it to you if Trump was president and Anton Scalia was still alive and he would have passed away. They probably wouldn't have put up much of a fight. The problem now is he's not replacing somebody from the right side of the aisle, even though Kennedy more often than not sided with the right. He's replacing the potential swing vote. Now, I do believe Roberts is potentially the swing vote nowadays. He has sided with the Dems on a few things, including Obamacare. That's why the fight's there, because it is that swing person. If he chose somebody that was socially liberal but conservative in other ways, they probably wouldn't be putting up the same kind of fight. If they said, look, the list here has some people here that are very socially liberal that have sided on, the LGBT community for marriage equality or for women's choice, and they'd seen that in the past. But what they have put out there is somebody who is definitely a game changer, and they're willing to fight, to fight, to fight.
People all across America should realize that their rights and opportunities are threatened. Americans should make their voices heard loudly, clearly, and consistently. Americans should make it clear that they will not tolerate a nominee chosen from President Trump's preordained list, selected by powerful special interests who will reverse the progress we have made over the decades.
Yeah, that's the way they feel, and they're going to fight it. He sounds rational compared to some of the other ones out there.
What's the court going to look like for the next 30 years?
We're looking at a destruction of the Constitution of the United States, as far as I can tell, based on all of the folks that he's been appointing thus far for lifetime appointments. He's been appointing ideologues. He has been appointing people who have refused to agree that Brown v. Board of Education is settled law. He has been appointing people who haven't even been found to be well qualified or even qualified by bar association.
And just to let you know, to let Kamala Harris, you don't have to have a law degree to sit on the court. Sit on the Supreme Court, you don't have to have a law degree. We've had some that never even finished college, and we've had a few that never even went to college or finished high school. Now, that was long ago, but I'm just saying, you don't have to. We will this time. And there's some qualified judges out there. And remember, a lot of these judges that they're going to go up against, whoever they end up choosing, are ones that the Democrats felt it was okay to put out there, who also voted in favor of them. At federal levels, potentially. But the difference is they realize that this is it. This is it. This is the highest court in the land. So, and that some of these courts, you look at the district courts, they're stacked. You've got the Ninth Circuit Court, you've got the 6th, 7th, and 4th. Some of them are right-leaning, some of them are left-leaning. It is what it is. But the reality of what they face today is the person now is going to be in the highest court in the land, and the highest court in the land is going to have that final say. And because of that, they're going to fight. Now, I don't believe for a second Roe v. Wade is going to be retried. And I've got people texting me. That's the first thing they're going to go after. I don't think so. Right? And even some Republicans have come out. Susan Collins said, if there's going to be a retrying of this, if there's going to be a relitigating this, and somebody wants to change it, I am not going to allow that. It has been law for 40 years. But just like the right did with President Obama, you know how many people texted me and called me and Facebooked me at the time and of saying, oh my God, did you know Obama's a secret Muslim and soon we'll have Sharia law, or he's taking our guns away? So many. That's why, to me, when I hear this, I just laugh.
I think within a year, abortion will be illegal in half of the United States, and because of this. And that's not necessarily a Trump issue; that's a Republican politics issue. But that's what this means.
No, federal law, I don't think is going to change. Now, in saying that, the states are allowed to kind of do their own thing to a certain degree. They can make it harder. They can put certain restrictions on it, but they're not going to outlaw it. And I don't think anybody else is going to go out there and relitigate this and bring it up. Yeah, you will find some that will try it at the state level and they'll bring it up. But I don't think, and I honestly think Roberts may end up being the swing vote for that. I just don't think it's going to happen. I could be wrong. Been wrong in the past. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. But it's funny because this is it. This is how you raise money. This is it. You go out and you say stuff that is crazy.
The whole reason Neil Gorsuch is there and Merrick Garland isn't is because Republicans acted so radically when Vince Scalia died in the spring of 2016. So Democrats are going to have to figure out how hard they want to fight. I think a lot of the Democratic base right now is going to expect them to all but lay their bodies on the line to stop the Senate rather than allow any nominee to go forward.
But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, there's only so much they're going to be able to do. And it's funny listening to the people on the left talk about how their politicians are, just weak.
Democrats who are usually so wimpy and weak and, no, it's okay. We'll take half of universal health care. We don't need the whole thing. That's how our side sounds all the time. Mm-hmm. We're constantly giving in. And then a few people want to stand up and say, no, I've had enough. That's it. And we don't have to be violent. We have to remain nonviolent. If the worst that's going to happen to anybody in the Trump administration is that they don't get to have a chicken dinner in Virginia, I mean, I don't know.
And yet on the other side, I always hear, Republicans are weak. Both of them sound weak. No, it's compromise. It's the world that we live in. You don't get everything you want, right? Because there are 350 million people that also want something else. So, no. And we have elected these people to go there, and to get something done, they're going to have to compromise. And they can cry all they want. They can scream all they want. The reality is this happening? It's not happening. It's happening. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen. You don't have the way, and they're scrambling because this is the helplessness they feel. Because they can go on television, they can plead, they can go on the CNNs and the MSNBCs. You don't understand, within a week, women are going to be fired for their jobs. They're all going to be totally arranged marriage. They're going to be inside the home. They're going to be barefoot and pregnant. They're going to be forced to go to church. They're going to be all of these things. And if they get pregnant, even they're never going to be able to get rid of it. The gays are going to be locked up. Blacks are going to, it's settled down. It's what you say when you're helpless, because you feel helpless. They're trying to figure out. They want to vote early. They can't. We got to stop them. We got to try to. What are we going to do? We can't stop them. We can't stop them because they feel helpless. because they know they really can't do anything. They'll try. But in the end, Mitch McConnell holds the cards at this one. And they can raise a bunch of money and they can get people out to the polls. Don't let Trump get another pick, because they also know, looking around the Stephen Breyer and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and what if he got another pick? Oh my God. Take a deep breath. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think a marriage equality is going anywhere. I don't think any of those things. I think those things have been tried. I think they're on the books. I don't think anybody is interested. States will try to do some stuff. They will try to put some more restrictions on, but they've been trying that for a long time. That's nothing new. But I think as far as banning it outright, Roe v. Wade and some of these other things, it's not going to happen. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. It is called a cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, just to name a few. They're interesting, and they're the future of investing. Many of you out there text me and go like, how real is this? It's very real. It is very real. Chicago Merc, they said, let's do something. That's where the commodities are traded. Vanguard, about a month ago, said, hey, we need to start doing something with this. It's time that you start looking into it as well and look into diversification. Tiki Tuari from the Palm Beach Letter has a perfect course out for you. Former Wall Street guy, hedge fund guy, he gets it's made more money for people in crypto than probably anybody else. And he's got a course that's going to help you. You're like, Chad, what is a crypto? He's going to teach you that. How does it work? He's going to teach you that. Where can I spend it? Teach you that. What's a blockchain? He's going to teach you that. That's how good this course is. Everybody should educate themselves in something they want to invest in. All too often people don't. When you're looking to diversify, great to have a good education. That's what this course is going to do. Check it out for yourself. AmazingCryptoClass.com. AmazingCryptoClass.com. Crypto is CRYPTO. I had several people go, I don't think I'm spelling it right. It's AmazingCryptoClass.com. It's not like the Crypt Keeper. It's a class. Cryptocurrency is what it's called. AmazingCryptoClass.com. Check it out for yourself. Worst case scenario. You get an education. Best case scenario, you should diversify. You make some money along with that education. AmazingCryptoClass.com. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Take one giant step to the left.
Did you ever have anyone embarrass you like this?
One giant step to the right.
That's all that separates you from everything else that came from slime.
You are now in the alt-middle, where it's just right. Call if you get weird. This is the Chad Benson Show.
Well, I think what we really need to talk about is we need to talk about reaching out to young people, people that we think are usually non-voters, communities of color, people who speak English as a second language, working class people, people with two jobs that usually are too busy, quote unquote, to vote, people who have never voted before.
That right there is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She, of course, won and shocked everybody in New York on Tuesday night. And she talked about, first of all, she is a Bernie. She's a Bernieite is the best way to describe her. She worked on Bernie's campaign. She is, everybody hears the word socialist. And the young kids today, they don't understand socialism. Part of it is because there is that no great war against communism and socialism. Because when they think of socialism, they think of Sweden. They think of Denmark, which, by the way, if you ask the Swedes or Danes, they'll just say, we're not socialists. We're a free market. We just have high taxes to pay for some of our social programs. They don't like that. But that's the way that they try to swing it. If you want to talk about a real socialist, you look at Maduro in Venezuela, that's real socialism. And that's what it gets. But the difference is they're no threat to us. We had the threat. We saw socialism and communistic ideas and what it did in the last century. Kids nowadays don't. What they hear is it's all fair. They don't hear the bad. They only hear the good. Everybody gets everything they want, and the rich will pay for it.
What does socialist mean to you?
For me, democratic socialism is about, the value for me is that I believe that in a modern, moral, and wealthy society, no person in America should be too poor to live. That's what I feel.
Yeah, but some of that's choices. Remember, you're not controlling choices. And one thing that they don't understand is, Karl Marx and Stalin and Lenin and the subsequent others, Pol Pot, and all of these people, Hugo Chavez and everything. What they've done is they designed something that they wanted to live above. They never wanted to live under. They wanted control. And there is no great enemy. And that's how we, as an older generation, view socialism and communism, as we realize that it was a great enemy to us. It was a great enemy to capitalism, but also to our views and to our freedom. They don't see that. They always preface, well, I'm a democratic socialist. Nobody should be poor. Well, I don't want anybody to be poor either, but a lot of times people are poor because of poor choices. Right? That's that blaming everything and not taking responsibility. And they want everything to be free. Everything is a human right.
So what that means to me is healthcare as a human right, that every child, no matter where you are born, should have access to a college or trade school education if they so choose it. I think that no person should be homeless if we can have public structures and public policy to allow for people to have homes and food and lead a dignified life in the United States.
Who pays for that, though? That's the big question. Whenever I ask, well, the rich. You got entitlements, you got other stuff. Who pays for that? Who pays for that? Socialism's great until you run out of other people's money. Thank you, Margaret. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Meadow Claire is now a healthy, happy 3.5-year-old. But at just 12 months old, she suffered an unexpected injury at this playground.
When I got down to the bottom of the slide, she was screaming.
In a Facebook post that is going viral this morning, her mom, Heather Claire, posted this video of her daughter captured in her arms going down a playground slide. At the moment, she broke her lower leg.
Slides now. Moms posting stuff on blogs. This is how we get to the point where we can't have kids that go out and play on things because they'll get injured. They'll get injured. Oh, my God, they're going to get injured. Kids get injured all the time. It's part of being a kid, right? No, I don't want kids to get hurt. I know Jack is a little boy. He plays rough. My little brothers, they're little like Jack. They play rough because they're boys. That's what we did. But this is a perfect example how the other day we were talking about they have a special place in New York where you can go and you sign away your life, wink, wink, and your kids can go inside and they can play and do things that they wouldn't normally be allowed to do because it's not a play date in a specific area that has been designed to be non-toxic and non-deadly to the child. It's amazing we lived as long as we have, right? So this mom has this site and she talks about the dangers of going on a slide with your child.
The toddler's foot escaping her mother's lap, her sneaker catching on the side of the slide.
Alana.
Mom Heather is sharing their story to alert parents to the danger of going down slides with your child.
I see parents riding down slides all the time with their kids. I don't think anybody, most parents aren't aware of this. Everybody is shocked at that that's a possibility and that could happen.
So what happens, much like autism and a lot of these other things, is people take to their blogs and then people think it's gospel. Well, this woman did it, so I can't do it. I'm like, oh, God. You know what I'm always amazed of? I go to a park and I'll go work out at the street, this park. I'm amazed that they have anything to play on. Like the park, and tomorrow Jack and I will go work out for a couple hours throwing footballs and stuff like this. And then he'll go and he plays at this park that he loves right there. And it's got like a pirate ship and all of these things. And I'm amazed that there is anything still left at parks for kids to play on. Because the liability. When we were kids, as you all know, half the stuff was a torture device, but it was fun, right? Like, let's get on the merry-go-round. I know it's 114 degrees and it's made of metal and it's 147 degrees, but let's spin it around as fast as possible. And then you try to jump on it while it's spinning around, because that's part of the fun, or jump off. How about this? Let's get on the swing and we'll swing and then we'll try to do a jump off of it. Some people try to do flips and it's part of the fun. It's not anymore. Because somebody's got a blog or a vlog somewhere and they're going to come on because they're usually overeducated white women. I'm going to say this. And they're just sitting there and they're like, I did this today. First of all, we had a very good breakfast, non-GMOs. It's always important. It's vitally important, Phil. If you ever understand anything, that it's a non-GMO breakfast that you have and lunch and dinner. We went to the park. We had our hummus and our wheat thins. And then little Brockton was going to attempt to play. And I thought it would be fun because I didn't want him to go down the slide alone. That we went down the slide together and he got his little foot pinched and it hurt. Now, kids go to the hospital all the time. How many people have been injured on slides?
According to the CDC, from 2002 to 2015, 350,000 children under the age of 5 were injured on slides. The most common injury, more than a third, were lower leg fractures, like Meadows. Some doctors even posting YouTube videos to warn parents.
Put together an illustration.
Warn parents of what? Kids fall down all the time. People, how about this? How many people fall on stairs or in the bathroom yearly? When you go look at the things that kill human beings, you're like, oh, my God, why do they sell ladders? Right? Sweet Mama Jamma, don't buy a second-story house. Oh, sweet Lord, I'm never taking a shower or bath again. Kids will do dumb things. Kids will jump off things they're not supposed to. Kids used to climb trees, yet we still survive. Are you supposed to go down I went down with Jack on more than a few occasions when he was little. I wouldn't do it now. He's 8 years old. Right? And I'm not going down with him when he's 2 or 3. He could do that on his own. But when he was 1 year old, we would go down the slide and we do it once and he'd smile like everybody else and they do it. And I love this. Experts.
The mom claims there's no safe way for a child to go down in their parent's lap, and that signs should be posted at playgrounds warning exactly that.
The safest way for a child to go down a slide with their parent is not in the parent's lap. Instead, the parent wants to stand next to the slide, hold the child on there about halfway up, and then let the child go down while you're guarding them.
Okay, so that's what you're going to do. We have to have an expert now talk about the safety of sled. No wonder kids love socialism, young adults. Right? No wonder they do. It's amazing. We have an expert on the slide. What do you think I should do here? Well, Steve, I'm an expert in these. To get from the top of the slide to the bottom of the slide, you sit your ass down and go down the slide. But I see it. Man, I see it. Jack's birthday party was at the same park with all the cool stuff. And not the kids that were playing, kind of 70s parents' kids, kids. We're playing football, they're smashing each other, everybody's having a good time. But there were other people at the park, and they're watching like a hawk their kid playing. They're circling around, right? They're circling. So the kids are all playing, and they're circling, right? And they're not taking their eyes off of them like they're prey. It's going to watch that kid. It's going to go, Jimmy! Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Whew. Oh, I survived all the stuff. My mom didn't even pay attention. She didn't even know where we were. We'd go to the park. We'd play on stuff, and it was all metal. Everything was metal when we were kids. It was all made out of metal. No supervision, right? We used to have this. I don't know, you probably had one of these out there, Phil, when you were a kid. We had this park that had all of these play structures, and one of them was an awesome rocket ship that was like 3 stories tall.
Oh, yeah?
We'd climb out we climbed it. We would never go up it. We'd climb on the outside of it. And all the people would do is get down. Well, Chad, what if somebody fell? We had a couple kids fall. A couple of them got hurt. Parents didn't sue. What'd they say to their kids? As you say all the time, Phil, play a stupid game, get a stupid prize. They played a stupid game, they got a stupid prize. But we lived.
The CDC also says the rate of all playground injuries has significantly increased over the last decade. Now more than 200,000 children under 14 are injured on them every year.
In the emergency room, I see these injuries all the time, and the parents feel very, very guilty. And a lot of times they're crying. They're really upset about what happened to the child. And what I typically tell them is, if you think back to your own childhood, how any of us got to this point of being adults is way beyond me, because we all get injured in childhood. We tend to recover.
Yeah, because kids do. They're crying. Let me tell you something I did when I was a kid. You guys might like this. So when I was a kid, we used to have Airplane Mountain, where we'd all take our bikes over there, and my Skyway, which, by the way, is just a great bike. So I took my Skyway over there, and I tried to do a rad trick. You guys might remember those things. Radical trick. And it didn't go well. And I landed on my head. I probably should have died. I fell like 15, 20 feet. It was just amazing. It was just awesome. So the paramedics came, and they took me to the hospital. I was fine. But I had some bruised ribs and a bruised lung, and I survived. I didn't even miss my soccer game that week. It was like a Wednesday this happened. When my parents got to the emergency room, do you think they cried? My dad slapped me upside the head. What the hell are you doing? There's no crying. There's no crying in childhood. You get up and you go. And the funny thing is, you listen to all these injuries. This is what I think is funny. The more that we have helicopter parented children, the more there are injuries. Because somebody falls and they freak out and they take them to the emergency room, only to find out there's really nothing wrong with them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I just don't. I do wonder. You know, I think to myself, how did we get it? Because yes, when kids are born, I mean, it's all about keeping them alive until they can kind of fend for themselves, right? That's what it is. And I understand there's going to be injuries. And nowadays with YouTube, what you have now is you have the two extremes. You have kids that are willing to go to any extremes, and adults, to get viral videos out there. So you have stupidity. But stupidity's always been there. We just didn't have cameras, right? And on the other side of things, which is the majority, is you have the exact opposite. They're not even willing to go to extremes. We're trying to build perfect agoraphobics that'll stay inside the house and not hurt themselves. Right? We didn't have that as kids because our parents didn't allow it. You weren't allowed to stay indoors, right? Even if you had something wrong with you. Remember what was that movie with John Travolta? He's the bubble boy. You remember that? He had that weird disease.
The boy in the bubble, yeah.
Yeah, the boy in the bubble. Nowadays, parents are like, oh, thank God he's the boy in the bubble. In our days, they're like, well, how can we fix something to him so we could send him outdoors because he's been in the house too long? Well, you don't understand. If he goes outside and sun hits him, that he's gonna catch fire. And you'd be like, you're telling me he's a vampire? No, he's got this disease. No, you're telling me he's a vampire because that sounds like a vampire. Should I be worried? They're like, no. He's just had this disease where the light is not good for him, the UV light. Well, we could fix it. We slather him up with stuff. We'll put things on him, and we'll send him outdoors. He's got to get outdoors. He's got to get some sunshine. Sunshine will kill him. No. We got to get him outside. That was our parenting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Ed Sheeran being sued, and guess who the family is that's suing him? We'll talk about that. And, kids, nature is back. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Why get oily, greasy takeout when you can have fresh Chad 24/7, free of charge at ChadBensonShow.com. Click on Chad's podcast and enjoy freshly canned Chad. Catch the Chad Benson Show on iTunes, too, and nibble to your heart's content.
First victim's name is Wendy Winters. Second victim is Rebecca Smith. Third victim is Robert Hyacin. Fourth victim is Gerald Fishman. And the fifth victim is John McNamara.
Those are the victims yesterday in the shooting at the Capitol Gazette by the man whose life apparently was ruined by the Capitol Gazette. Oh, wait, no, he ruined his own life. And then he took his anger over his failures in life out on these people. He was denied bail today, as producer Phil said earlier. This is our shock face. No, they said, we think he's a bit of a risk to the public, so we're not going to allow him to leave. Yeah. And he was angry. He was angry because of a piece that went out about him. He knew that the person who wrote the piece was no longer employed at the Gazette, but felt the Gazette, which he sued over the 2011 piece, and I think in 2013 lost the lawsuit. It was pretty much laughed out of the court. The judge basically said, if you knew anything about the law, you would have never brought this piece. And people were warned. People were warned that if you saw him anywhere near there, you were to call 911 immediately. He set up a situation where he barricaded the back door and wanted essentially a kill zone, places he could funnel people to, and people that saw him said he was pretty comfortable that he was doing.
He did not look like someone who was out of control. He looked like someone who was comfortable with what he was doing.
That is awful. That is awful. He will never see the light of day again, nor should he. It is horrible. He did it with a shotgun. All right, so the rhetoric from the we need gun control probably isn't going to come because it was purchased legal. They don't know if he purchased it or somebody else did, but he did it with a shotgun. But he seemed like, this guy, this is the guy who's the kind of guy that blames everything that goes on in his life that's wrong, which is probably 99% of it. He blames it all on other people, never once wanting to look in the mirror and take personal responsibility. We have a tough time doing that. A lot of people do. We've all been there. We all want to fight, even though at times we know we've got a part to play in some stuff. And it's not always our fault. Sometimes in life, you know what? You can go, look, this wasn't my fault. This was a misunderstanding or whatever. But this guy blamed everything in his life that went wrong on other people. And he decided to take his miserable little life, because he's a miserable little man, his bad things, he decided he was going to transfer all of that pain and make big pain for everybody else. And that was awful. 323-538-2423. We were talking about the parenting earlier, and I mean a bunch of texts about when did we get like this? I don't know when we got like this. I don't know. I think a lot of it was the generation, you look out there and Generation X and the millennials, or the offspring are from what? Gen X. And Gen X, we kind of went out there and we decided we want to parent like our parents did. And we're going to be more hands-on, and we're going to be more engaged, and that maybe that was really the first generation where mom was working and all of it. So it's, who knows? But we've got to find some balance, right? We do. We have to find some balance. So this guy is getting sued. He's pretty famous. His name's Ed Sheeran, and he's got a song. Was it Think Out Loud is the song? I think it is. And he's being sued.
The lawsuit says Ed Sheeran's massive 2014 hit, Thinking Out Loud,
Darling, I will
sounds too much like the Marvin Gaye classic, Let's Get It On. The suit says Thinking rips off melody, rhythms, harmonies, drums, bass line, backing chorus, tempo, syncopation, and looping, and is seeking in excess of $100 million in damages. A similar suit was filed in 2016 by the family of the guy who wrote the song with Gaye. That was thrown out. This suit was filed by a company that owns part of Let's Get It On's copyright.
$100 million they want. But remember, Marvin Gaye's family sued Robin Thicke and Pharrell and T.I. and I think he got $7 million for their song a few years ago. And this is Marvin Gaye's family again. And it's funny because, Phil, you've talked about it even a long time ago that, man, this song sounds eerily familiar. And you've been adamant it's the same damn song.
It's the same song. That sounds more like an Ed Sheeran song sounds more like Marvin Gaye's song than Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven sounded like whatever song they were claimed to rip it off from.
Yeah. So it's interesting that this lawsuit is going on. And this is not the first time, by the way, that Ed Sheeran has been pointed at for plagiarism as far as, you stole some music or you stole some lyrics. And this is also, this is becoming more and more a habit. I think Donald Glover, right? He's just getting sued now for his latest song. And it's Childish Gambino's song. People are looking and saying, that sounds eerily familiar to this. It is. So we'll see. People running out of ideas. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, 323-538-2423. Your useless fact of the day. The farthest point from land on Earth is called Point Nemo, or the Arctic pole of inaccessibility in the South Pacific. The nearest humans are usually astronauts in the International Space Station, which orbits the planet a maximum distance of 270 miles. The nearest inhabited landmass is almost 2,700 kilometers, about 1,670 miles away. Have yourself a solid, fun weekend. Back to do it again on Monday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.